I thought I'd show everybody tonight my turntable. Generally I collect Akai stuff, but when I found this turntable at the thrift store for 20 bucks, I had to choose this one. Akai never made a turntable quite this nice, I don't think. Generally it lives in the little cubby hole there, so although the lid is hinged, I usually just slide it in and out. It's a tempered glass lid. It's got Empire silk screened in the corner there in gold leaf, and I'm surprised it's lasted this many years. The hardware is quite nice. The hinges are dovetailed and slide into little slots, dovetail slots in the corners here, and I've got little bits of felt on it so that I can slide the lid in and out when I'm taking it on and off without scratching it too badly. This is an Empire 698, one of the last turntables that Empire made. Mid-70s turntable, and it sold originally for around $400 or so, so close to $2,000 in today's money. It, for the time though, even for 1970s, it was a fairly retro looking turntable. Had a big heavy plinth and a heavy looking tone arm, although it's relatively light in its compliance. It's suspended on ball and race bearings that have micro sapphires for the bearing material. It's kind of neat. I don't know if it shows up in the video very well, but the turntable has several LEDs that light things up, like a little red one in the tone arm rest. It has an electronic lifting system. It's got a little solenoid at the back here. So it's a Sensi touch. When you touch it, the solenoid drops and drops the tone arm onto the vinyl, and you can lift it up at a touch. It also has a photo sensor on the gimbal assembly, so when the tone arm reaches the groove out, it automatically lifts up. It doesn't return home automatically. You have to manually put it back. And it has a manual power switch to turn the drive motor on and off. I think originally this had two red LEDs, but one was burnt out, so I replaced it with a green. And I actually should have put the green over here and moved the red over there, but at any rate. The tracking has a horizontal and vertical resistant mechanism in this with a little coiled spring, and apparently you can crank these things up enough that you can turn the turntable upside down and it would still track. I don't know if that's true, but I read that somewhere. The turntable still has the original cartridge that I found it with. It's not the original one for the turntable, but it has a Grado cartridge with the same needle as I found it, and I should have replaced the needle by now, but it seems to work well enough. You won't be able to see it in the video camera, but the tone arm is a relatively high compliance. If you put it on an album that has a fairly heavy bass beat like this music, you watch the tone arm, you could actually see the tone arm jumping around with the bass beat. It's pretty neat, although it's very hard to catch on the video camera. I got this turntable at a thrift store for $20, and I had to wrestle the guy that tested all their equipment because they don't sell anything if it doesn't work. And the guy that tests things had his eye on all the aluminum. There's about 10 or 15 pounds of aluminum, and I think he had his heart set on chopping this one up for scrap. The tone arm is kind of nice in a way. A lot of the Japanese turntables are quite nice, but you can't lift the tone arm up and down, and it's important to try and get the tone arm level with the record. So with a lot of Japanese, like a Nakai or a Pioneer or Hitachi turntable, you have to add mats to get the vinyl to the right level. So this one's kind of nice. With a small set screw you can lift this tone arm up and down. The record player has two speeds, 33 and 45. You change the speed by manually moving the drive belt on the spindle with something like a pencil or a stick. Right now it's running at 33, and if you just push the belt down to the larger part of the spindle, it speeds up to 45 degrees, or 45 RPM, sorry. Let's put it back on 33 here. It has a large AC motor that's suspended on rubber grommets, and you can change the speed, the pitch of the record player slightly. I assume that this is how I understand it, by rotating this knob. Moves the spindle in and out a little bit, so with a bit more tension it slows down, and with a little bit less tension it speeds up. This has a lot of throwbacks to older record players. It has a heavy cast plinth. The platter mat is a heavy rubber mat. In the center of the platter it has two strobes for 33 and 45 RPM silk screened on there. And the center has a little adapter that you can flip over to play 45s. And I just trimmed my nails the other day, so some things have gotten harder. I'll release the belt and show you what's one of the really nice things about this turntable. This has a separate rim on the outside. It's dynamically balanced. There's a piece of looks like aluminum foil tape, but I think it's a leaded tape. And there's several on this piece. If you find one of these old turntables, do not remove the tape, otherwise it won't be balanced anymore. This is the platter assembly. It's dynamically balanced as well with tape. Large spindle bearing. And it has 3 grooves around the outside, which correspond with 3 holes in this ring. And I'm thinking perhaps originally there may have been rubber bushings in here that I don't have anymore, or never had one since I've had it. The tone arm is suspended on the same casting that holds up the platter, and it's spring loaded, so if the platter moves up and down slightly, so does the tone arm. It's separate from the outer plinth. The lower plinth, although it's very nice looking with wood veneer, it's not all that thick, and a lot of people who make custom turntables will make their lower wooden plinth out of really big solid chunks of wood to dampen harmonics. This turntable, the grommets here that suspend the motor are pretty old and could use replacing. There's not much else I can show you there, so I'm going to turn the camera off.